Good afternoon, everyone. Benjamin here, and like I promised last Friday, we're going to be doing part two of fixing the U.S. state flags. And we're going to talk about them in roughly in alphabetical order. Um, just as a future reference, if I ever do anything where I'm reviewing a video from somewhere else, I'm going to see if I can boost the audio from the from the other video because I understand it was a bit quiet yesterday. I'm still trying to figure out how to make it less quiet, but I think that should be doable. Anyway, moving on to the next flag in our list, and there we go. Cool. So, this is of course, this is going to be our new Montana flag. Montana is, of course, a seal on a bedsheet. Now, some people may remember that I used this flag when I did my video on U.S. Navy founder John Paul Jones. And this was the flag that he wound up using for the Serapis after he captured it in battle. Now, you're going to say, what connection does this have to Montana? Well, it doesn't. It's just a better flag. And maybe I could have used this for one of the original 13 colonies that are in the second half of the American states alphabetically. But there were a few good ideas, and maybe I could have used this for one of those. But I thought this fit best for Montana because it's clearly an American flag. It just has a bit more creativity to it. So, moving on to Nebraska. And this is a flag I found somewhere on an alternate history forum. I forget exactly which one or who designed it, but I thought this was a cool flag, and I thought this would work really well for Nebraska. It's a Great Plains state, and it just looks, this is an awesome looking flag. So, we're going to go with that, right? Now, this is Nevada, and sorry about the pixelation. I don't like that it has, the writing on it or anything like that. But this is a great flag design if you just remove the writing and enlarge it. The whole battle-born idea with the sagebrush and a silver star, not a white star, it's a silver star because silver was a major resource in Nevada. So, moving to New Hampshire, and New Hampshire is the live free or die state. Right now, they've got a seal on a bedsheet. Some people will call it the granite state if they don't appreciate that the state motto of live free or die. But I thought that fit perfectly with the Gadsden flag. Now, I've taken off the writing on the Gadsden flag just because I am not a big fan of writing on a flag if you can avoid it or if it's just not iconic. And the thing is, "Don't Tread on Me" is definitely an iconic saying, but I think if you're going to make it a state flag, all you have to do is just get rid of the writing, and it's a beautiful... this is extremely well done. Might piss off the liberals in New Hampshire, but I think that's a price we should be willing to pay in order to get a good state flag. So moving on to New Jersey, this one also might piss off a few people because it's another rattlesnake flag, and this was actually associated with certain colonial regiments during the Revolution, not with any particular state. I think some connection exists with South Carolina, but they've got a good flag, so I'm pretty sure New Jersey could, pull this off. We've got 13 stripes, it's one of the original 13 colonies, and then, of course, one of the first 13 states. I actually think there's 13 bands on the rattlesnake's, or 13 buttons on the rattlesnake's tail. And I think it's just a great design. And of course, there's a "Don't Tread on Me" on the other one that I've also removed. It's the bottom white stripe that it's on in the original one, but I've just removed it because, of course, we get rid of writing where we can. But this is a well-designed flag. The stripes kind of make it a little bit boring, but maybe not boring, but if you just had the stripes there, it'd be a little, yeah. So putting the rattlesnake makes it even cooler. So, moving on to the best flag in the United States, and that is New Mexico's. It's extremely simple. The star is the Zia sun. The colors are well chosen. The crimson and yellow for the conquistadors, because New Mexico was at one point Spanish territory. And this flag this is a good flag. This is what you want if you've got a flag. New York. So, fun fact about New York, it was Dutch at one point. It was actually called New Amsterdam, and then the English bought it. So, basically what I've done is I've taken the flag of New York City, removed the seal, and put the big, I think it's St. George, yeah, it's St. George's cross, red on white, in the center white stripe. I've left the fly stripe, or the fly sides orange color, both to honor the history, but I've put the St. George's cross, the English cross, there in the center, of course, to also honor history. So we're kind of mixing and matching here, but I think it looks good enough, though I think some people would say, oh, you like flags and your flags and your flags, kind of something like that. So yeah, this is probably, in my opinion, the weakest, but it works and it makes sense historically speaking. So moving on to North Carolina. I didn't change a thing because both of those dates, normally I'm not a big fan of writing on a flag, but since it's not like a state motto or anything like that, plus if I got rid of the writing, this would also be Texas's flag. So I thought leaving the two dates, which are very important, the upper one, the May 20th, 1775, is the date that Mecklenburg County declared independence from Great Britain, and the Halifax resolves were in 1776, and that is when North Carolina started taking its first steps to declaring independence itself. Of course, the NC I could have gotten rid of, but I thought leaving it there was good enough, since they're not full. It's not full words, and it's still there. All things considered, the writing is maybe you want to be happy with it, but you can at least live with it. Because truth is, it's not the worst flag design in all of the states, and it's quite well done. And actually, it's not really Texas's flag, because Texas has the blood on the bottom, or the red on the bottom and the white on top, but North Carolina's is flipped. It would still get extremely confusing, especially if you were flying, saying, oh, I'm from North Carolina, but you're living in Texas, or if you're a Texan living in North Carolina who has a lot of state pride. If you flew that flag, people would think you were in distress, because one of the ways you signify that you're in a situation where you need emergency services is you go out there and you fly the flag upside down. Yeah, it would get confusing. So this is the flag I've come up with for North Dakota. It's a Nordic cross. Again, the very far reaches of the Great Plains had a lot of Scandinavian and Nordic immigration, so going with a Nordic cross is a good idea. And I've, of course, used the colors of liberty of red, white, and blue. So that's kind of the explanation for that. Ohio, and you're going to be wondering, wait, why do you have the slideshow's background poking through for Ohio? Well, fun fact, Ohio is one of, I think, only 2 or 3 non-rectangular flags in the entire world. And this, yeah. So, this is called a swallowtail pennant, and it's just it's a well-designed flag, not changing a thing. I don't care. I like flags that aren't square, that aren't rectangles, because That's just cool. That's why I don't hate Nepal's flag, though a lot of people do. It's well designed, even if you did have to make it a square, a rectangle. But if this is a well designed flag, I don't think anybody should ever criticize it. So, good job, Ohio. Oklahoma. So, I basically just removed the writing because Oklahoma, while it is a seal on a bed sheet, its seal is just pretty darn cool. And Oklahoma was actually where a lot of Native American cultures were sent during the Indian Removal Act, which led to the Trail of Tears. It was long called Indian Territory. So honoring that history by using some symbols of Native American cultures, it's a great idea. This is extremely well done, and it's not overly complicated for a seal, all things considered. It's one of the few times where I say, if you got rid of the writing, you could live with this seal on a bed sheet. Because it's not as messy to see at a distance. Because there's very little going on, which is a good thing from a design perspective. Oregon. So, fun fact, Oregon for a long time actually had two sides to their flag. They had an obverse or face and then a reverse or tail. And this was the reverse. The obverse was the state seal on a bed sheet. The reverse was a beaver. And I think if Oregon just went to the beaver, like we've done here, I think this would be a great flag. But no, they're a seal on a bed sheet on both sides now. Though some people, I think, still fly the obverse reverse flag, but I don't think anybody's really a fan of those. So we're going with this one. Alrighty? Alright. Pennsylvania. Another seal on a bed sheet. So instead, we're going to go with this flag, which I found on Reddit. I forgot the link to it, so you can just find it. And, yeah. And, of course, Pennsylvania is the Keystone State. And I think using a keystone as a good, strong state symbol is a great idea. Look, come on. You have these nicknames. Why don't we just use those nicknames? So, yeah, we're going to go with the keystone with the star in the middle. I think this is a great design for a Pennsylvania flag. I think this is what you really need to use. So, moving on to Rhode Island. All I had to do was remove the word hope from that banner. And, I could have removed the banner and enlarged the anchor, but, this Rhode Island is the ocean state. And I actually think, adding, the banner is, it looks fine without any writing. And, of course, it's got 13 stars because one of the original 13 states. And it's, in its actual form, it's a square, not a rectangle, so I would leave it as a square. But it's a well-designed flag, and honestly, you could leave the word hope on that banner and you'd be fine. That's a minor nitpick compared to a lot of things. So, South Carolina, well done. You actually have a brilliant state flag. And the crescent has been a symbol of South Carolina for a very long time, going back all the way to the Revolution, where South Carolina regiments would have a flag with a crescent that said Liberty in it, or Liberty written somewhere else on the flag. The palmetto tree was added during the Civil War, but not in reference to anything from the Civil War. Instead, it was a reference to palmettos that kind of shielded some of the fortifications of one of the ports during the Revolution. So the palmetto tree is actually something that you need to keep on the flag. Plus, it is the palmetto state. So let's keep the palmetto tree there. And this is the flag of South Dakota. And again, it's an Nordic cross. Go back and watch the section on North Dakota. I've just changed the colors up a little bit. I thought yellow would look good with that shade of blue. So that's the only reason why I've chosen colors, though if anybody are from the either of the Dakotas, you can tell me which colors you prefer to go with on a Nordic cross, or if you think there are other symbols that should be used on a flag, instead of referencing the immigration history of the state. And Tennessee, well, the volunteer state has a very, very, very well-designed flag. And also a southern flag that doesn't reference the Confederacy. And the flag is... So the 3 stars actually represent the regions of the state of Tennessee, the Smoky Mountains, the middle section of the Mississippi River. I forget exactly what the red stands for, but the blue on the fly side of the flag is actually just to balance out all of the red in the rest of the flag. And of course, red, white, and blue being the colors of liberty. So, you also have that. But again, it's a well-designed flag. No complaints from me, Tennessee. The Lone Star State, Texas. Texas, you have a well-designed flag, and that's all I have to say about it. This has been the Texas flag for literally ever. Pretty much since the Texas Revolution. The only alternate flag would be the Mexican flag with the number 8, with 1824 written under it because of their belief in adhering to the Constitution of 1824. But they wound up declaring their independence, and this is the flag they got, and this is a brilliant, beautiful, perfectly done flag. Utah. So I've decided to go with someone's alternate design for a Utah flag. As a Mormon state, the beehive features pretty predominantly in state symbolism, so I thought a beehive would be a great idea. And apparently other people agree, as I didn't actually have to do this flag myself. Obviously, it would also be a square, like Rhode Island's flag, just to make sure the proportions are correct, and that's actually a circle, not a ovoid. But yeah, Utah, if you went to this flag, that'd be perfect. So now we go to Vermont, another one of the original 13. Actually, no, it was not one of the original 13. It was argued over between New Hampshire and New York. And Vermont wound up winning out because whatever. So this is a flag used by Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys. This was a flag that the Independent Republic of Vermont used. So there is some history behind this flag, and this is a well done flag. This is what a flag should be. It's simple. It could be drawn very easily. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It has 13 stars on it, which is a bit strange because they were, I think, the 14th, or they were either number 14 or number 15. But yeah, this is a flag that, Vermont should be using instead of what they currently use, which, I'll let you say it with me, seal on a bedsheet. So now going on to Virginia, which I've decided to go with a really simplified seal. I've taken off the crown, I've taken off the writing, I've taken off the motto, Sic Semper Tyrannis, which is kind of not something you want on your state seal, given that that's what John Wilkes Booth said when he shot Lincoln. I changed the background from blue to red on the bottom and white on top, and I've simplified it as much as I can while keeping Lady Liberty standing on top of a tyrant. Actually, that's Caesar, technically. And maybe I should have censored it, but, that's a traditional depiction of Lady Liberty, and it's most of the state seal. So, again, like I said, I pared it down as much as I felt was reasonable, though you could change it and, I don't know, put 13 stars in the middle of a red, white, and blue tricolor. This is what I thought would be good while keeping some of this symbolism of the state of Virginia. I could have made allusions to Washington. I could have changed a lot of things with this one, but I decided to try and keep it as close as I could. Anyway, so moving on, Washington. So this is actually called the flag of Cascadia. It's a, I'm not going to call it a secessionist movement, but it's kind of the idea of a unified Pacific Northwest, including British Columbia from Canada and parts of Oregon. Basically, the Cascades to the Pacific. But I thought this is much better than Washington's current flag, which is seal on a bed sheet. Except its seal is George Washington, because of course it's called Washington. So, yeah, I think this is a better flag than what they have currently, and the tree is simple enough that you could fake it, and blue, white, and green. The colors work well, so I think this is what you would want. So, West Virginia, it's a seal on a blue and white, a blue frilled white bedsheet. So instead, what we've done is this is actually the state flower of West Virginia, and I've just replaced the seal with that, and I think it looks much better. This is an alternate flag, and this actually used to be the flag of West Virginia at one point, but they changed it for whatever reason. I think this is a much better flag than they currently have, and I think if you're from West Virginia, you would agree with me. So, Wisconsin. No one has a good alternate flag for Wisconsin. This was also borrowed and slightly altered from one I found on Reddit. The state wasn't filled in with any color, and the bar on the bottom was black. They tried to model this off of the California flag, the flag of California. So it actually had Wisconsin Republic at the bottom. So I just got rid of the writing. I left the badger where the badger is, and I've colored in the state and changed the color of the bottom. That way we have the colors of liberty, red, white, and blue. And there we go. And no, this isn't saying that Wisconsin is a blue state. I'm not saying that. That would probably keep it from getting implemented. So maybe they should change it to purple. I don't know. Alrighty, so our last state, Wyoming. I said I was maybe going to do the District of Columbia. I decided not to because, well, their flag doesn't need changing, and it's the District of Columbia, not a state. And this is a flag I've chosen because their current one has the state seal in the middle of the buffalo. So I said, screw that, we're going to just have the buffalo. If you got rid of the state seal, great flag. With the state seal, I mean, it's still well designed. It's got the colors of liberty. It's got a strong state symbol in the buffalo. The seal is just irritating. But get rid of the seal, and this is wonderfully done. This is ideal. This is a well-designed flag. So, there's that. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see y'all next time. Take it easy. Bye.